The sun rises over the Pacific, casting long shadows across a place that shouldn't exist. This is Krakatau Island, a volcanic fortress rising from the sea between Java and Sumatra. Here, where the Earth's fury once destroyed an entire civilization, a small community of fishermen has chosen to make their home. They live on borrowed time, on borrowed land, knowing that beneath their feet the mountain breathes. Meet Pak Suryanto. He is 63 years old, with hands like weathered rope and eyes that have seen the ocean in all its moods. He has lived on this island for 40 years, ever since his father brought him here as a young man. His family, his wife Ibu Shri, his son Adi, and his grandson Raka, they all live in a small wooden house built on stilts, just meters from the black sand beach. The house trembles sometimes at night. They've grown used to it. It's 4 in the morning when Pak Suryanto wakes. There is no alarm clock. His body knows when the fish are moving, when the currents shift, when the ocean is ready to give. He steps outside into the darkness, and the first thing he does is look at the mountain. Always the mountain. Anak Krakatau, they call it. The child of Krakatau. It rises behind their village like a sleeping giant, smoke trailing from its peak even now, even in the quiet hours before dawn. The smoke is normal. The smoke is always there. But Pak Suryanto has learned to read it like other men read newspapers. Today, it rises straight up, thin and white. This is good. This means the mountain is calm, or as calm as it ever gets. When the smoke turns dark, when it begins to tumble and roll, that is when they must be ready. That is when they must decide whether to stay or to flee. But today is not that day. Today, they fish. His son Adi is already awake, preparing their boat. It's a small vessel, maybe 5 meters long, painted blue and red with the name Berka, blessing, written on the side. The paint is peeling. The engine is old and coughs black smoke when it starts. But it works. It has to work. This boat is everything. Without it, they cannot fish. Without fishing, they cannot eat. Without food, they cannot survive. The equation is simple and brutal. Ibu Shri emerges from the house carrying a thermos of strong black coffee and a small package wrapped in banana leaves. Yesterday's rice with dried fish. This is breakfast. This is also lunch. They will eat when they return, if they return with a good catch. If the catch is poor, the rice will have to last longer. She hands the package to her husband without speaking. There are no goodbyes here, no dramatic farewells. Leaving is routine. Coming back is expected. Anything else is unthinkable, so they don't think it. The boy Raka wants to come. He is 12 years old and believes he is ready to be a man. His grandfather shakes his head. Not today. Stay with your grandmother. Help her mend the nets. Learn the work of the land before you learn the work of the sea. The boy's face falls, but he doesn't argue. Respect flows deep here, deeper than the volcanic trenches surrounding their island. They push the boat into the water just as the first light touches the horizon. The ocean is dark glass, smooth and deceptive. Pak Suryanto knows better than to trust this calm. The ocean is never truly calm here. Beneath the surface, the Earth's plates grind against each other, building pressure, storing energy. The same forces that created this island could destroy it in moments. In 2006, when the mountain erupted violently, the resulting tsunami killed hundreds on the mainland. His island survived, but the message was clear. You live here at the mountain's pleasure. They motor out past the reef, where the water deepens from turquoise to navy to black. Here the fish gather, tuna, mackerel, skipjack. These waters are rich because of the volcano. The minerals that pour from the mountain's heart feed the plankton, which feed the small fish, which feed the larger fish. The same force that threatens them also sustains them. This is the bargain they've made. Adi cuts the engine. The silence rushes in, broken only by the slap of small waves against the hull. They drop their lines, simple hand lines with hooks and bait, the way fishermen have done for thousands of years. No GPS, no fish finders, no radios. Just knowledge passed from father to son, reading the water, watching the birds, feeling the current. Time moves differently on the water. Minutes stretch. The sun climbs. Pak Suryanto feels the line tug, once, twice, then goes tight. He pulls hand over hand, the line cutting into his calloused palms. A skipjack breaks the surface, silver and fighting. Addie grabs it, removes the hook, tosses it into the cooler. The first catch. Always a relief. Proof that today the ocean is willing to share. They fish for 3 hours. The cooler fills slowly. 8 fish, then 12, then 15. It's not a great catch, but it's enough. Enough to eat, enough to sell a few at the mainland market, enough to buy rice and cooking oil and the other things they cannot produce themselves. This is what enough looks like here. Not abundance, not security, just enough. Around 9 in the morning, Addie notices it first. The water has changed. It's moving wrong, pulling in a direction it shouldn't, creating small whirlpools and eddies. His father sees it too. They both turn to look at the mountain. The smoke has changed. It's thicker now, darker, and it doesn't rise straight up anymore. It billows and spreads like ink dropped in water. Pak Suryanto's jaw tightens. He has seen this before. He begins pulling in the lines immediately, not bothering to rebait, not bothering to check if there are fish on the hooks. Addie starts the engine without being told. It coughs once, twice, then roars to life. They turn toward home. The ocean is still calm, but both men know that can change in heartbeat. As they speed back toward the island, Pak Suryanto allows himself one thought, one fear he normally keeps buried. What if today is the day? What if this is the eruption that finally drives them away? Where would they go? How would they live? He has no other skills. He is a fisherman. This is all he knows. This island, this volcano, this dangerous bargain. It is his entire world. The island grows larger ahead of them. He can see his house now, can see his wife standing on the beach, shielding her eyes as she watches them approach. She has seen the smoke too. Everyone has. The whole village, maybe 30 families in total. They are all watching the mountain now, waiting to see what it will do. They beach the boat and drag it above the tide line. Ibu Shri says nothing, just takes the cooler and begins sorting the fish. Work continues. Life continues. Because what else can they do? Run every time the mountain rumbles? They would never stop running. They would never live. So they stay. They watch. They wait. And they hope that today, like yesterday, like the day before, the mountain will choose mercy. By noon, the entire village has gathered near the beach. They stand in small clusters, arms crossed, eyes fixed on Anak, Krakatau. The mountain dominates everything here, the skyline, the conversations, the decisions. It is the uninvited guest at every meal, the shadow over every celebration, the question mark at the end of every plan. Today it is speaking louder than usual. The smoke has grown thicker, darker. It no longer rises in a clean column but churns and boils, spreading across the sky like a bruise. Ash begins to fall, just a little at first, tiny gray flakes that settle on shoulders and hair like dirty snow. The children think it's fascinating. They catch the ash on their tongues, laughing. Their parents watch with tired eyes. They've seen this before. They know what can come next. Pak Suryanto sits outside his house, cleaning the morning's catch. His knife moves with automatic precision, splitting bellies, removing guts, scraping scales. 15 fish. Not great, not terrible. Ibu Shri will salt half of them for storage. The rest they'll eat fresh or sell. His hands work while his mind calculates. If the eruption worsens, if they cannot fish for several days, do they have enough? Rice for maybe a week, dried fish for longer. Water is the bigger problem. Their well is shallow, fed by rainwater that filters through the volcanic rock. If the ashfall is heavy, the water will become contaminated, undrinkable. They'll have to collect rain before it touches the ground, assuming it rains at all. His grandson Raka sits beside him, quiet for once. The boy is learning to read his grandfather's moods, learning when to ask questions and when to simply observe. After a long silence, he speaks softly. Kakek, will the mountain explode? Grandfather, will the mountain explode? Pak Suryanto doesn't stop working. The mountain does what the mountain does. We cannot control it. We can only choose how we respond. But what if it explodes like in the stories? Like when your grandfather was young? Now Pak Suryanto pauses. He sets down his knife and looks at the boy. That was 1883. The mountain destroyed itself, destroyed the whole island. The sound was heard 3,000 miles away. The wave that followed killed 36,000 people. He lets this sink in. But we are not on that mountain. We are on its child, its son. Anak Krakatau was born later, rose from the sea where the old mountain died. It is younger, smaller, still dangerous, yes, but not the same. Then why do we stay? Why don't we live on the mainland where it's safe? It's the question every outsider asks. It's the question Pak Suryanto has asked himself 1,000 times in the dark hours of the night. He picks up his knife again, returns to his work. Safe is different for different people. On the mainland, there are other dangers. There are men who take what isn't theirs. There are laws we don't understand, systems we don't fit into. Here, the danger is honest. The mountain doesn't lie. It doesn't cheat. It doesn't pretend. When it's angry, it shows you. That I can respect. That I can live with. It's not the complete truth, but it's true enough. The fuller truth is harder to explain. How this island has become their identity. How leaving would mean becoming someone else, someone lesser. How the mainland people look at them with a mixture of pity and contempt, these foolish fishermen who live in the volcano's shadow. How pride, stubborn and maybe foolish pride, keeps them here as much as anything else. Around 2 in the afternoon, the first tremor hits. It's not strong, just enough to rattle the pots hanging in the kitchen, enough to send the chickens squawking. But it's enough to change the atmosphere in the village. The relaxed vigilance becomes active concern. Several families begin packing bags, not to leave permanently but to be ready. Just in case. Just in case becomes the mantra of Volcano people. Ibu Shri comes outside, her face composed but her movements quick and efficient. She has already filled every container they own with water. She has already packed a bag with important things, documents, a little money, photographs, the boys' school certificates. These items live by the door always, ready to grab. She has also prepared food that can be carried, dried fish, rice balls wrapped in leaves, hard-boiled eggs. This is her domain. Pak Suryanto faces the mountain and the sea. She manages everything else, the invisible infrastructure that keeps them alive. The Hartono family is leaving, she tells her husband, taking the afternoon boat to Krakatau. Pak Suryanto nods but says nothing. Pak Hartono is younger, has only lived on the island for 5 years. He hasn't developed the calluses yet, the emotional calluses that let you sleep while the earth trembles beneath you. No judgment. Everyone has their threshold. Addie returns from checking their boat. Engine is ready. Fuel tank is full. If we need to leave quickly, we can. He looks at his father, waiting for direction. This is the burden of being the eldest son. You are next in line, the future head of the family. But not yet. You prepare to lead while still learning to follow. Another tremor, stronger this time. A pot falls in the kitchen and shatters. Ibu Shri goes to clean it up without comment. Broken things can be replaced. Lives cannot. She learned this lesson decades ago when her youngest son, Pak Suryanto's second boy, drowned in a fishing accident. He was 19. They never found his body. The ocean kept him. After that, broken pots seemed less important. The afternoon wears on. The ash fall increases. It coats everything now, the roofs, the boats, the fishing nets. It turns the world grayscale, mutes colors, muffles sounds. Breathing becomes slightly harder. Some of the older villagers, those with weak lungs, tie cloth over their faces. The ash is gritty, alkaline. It irritates eyes and throats. This is the mountain's warning, its way of saying, I am waking up. Pay attention. By 4 o'clock, half the village has left. The afternoon boat to the mainland is overcrowded, sitting low in the water, but the captain takes everyone who wants to go. He doesn't charge the full fare. Volcano days, he operates on a different economy, one based on solidarity rather than profit. Those who remain watch the boat disappear toward the mainland, a small question mark on each face. Should we have gone too? Pak Suryanto makes his decision. They will stay, but they will sleep in their clothes tonight. They will keep the boat ready. They will take turns watching the mountain. If the activity increases, if the tremors become continuous, if they hear the deep rumbling that comes from the Earth's core, if the smoke turns to fire, then they will leave. But not before. Not yet. He explains this to his family. Ibu Shri accepts it with a slight nod. She knew this would be his choice. After 40 years of marriage, she can predict his decisions as easily as he can read the sea. Adi accepts it because his father is still the head of this family. Raka accepts it because he is 12 and has no choice. But his eyes are wide, excited despite the fear. This is adventure to him. He doesn't yet understand that adventure and tragedy are separated by the thinnest of margins. As evening approaches, the village takes on a strange quality. Half empty, half committed. Those who remain move with purpose, securing loose items, bringing in laundry, double-checking evacuation bags. They cook dinner over open fires as usual, but tonight the conversations are quieter, punctuated by long silences and glances toward the mountain. The smoke glows now, backlit by something beneath. Not full fire yet, but the suggestion of it, like embers beneath ash. The mountain is deciding, and all they can do is wait for its verdict. Pak Suryanto sits on his porch smoking a clove cigarette, watching. His grandson sits beside him, mimicking his posture, his stillness. Kakek, are you afraid? Pak Suryanto considers the question. Honesty or comfort? He chooses honesty. Yes. Fear is good. Fear keeps you alert, keeps you alive. It's only dangerous when it becomes panic, when it stops you from thinking clearly. How do you stop it from becoming panic? You accept what you cannot control. You focus on what you can. We cannot control the mountain. We can control our boat, our supplies, our readiness. We can control whether we face this with dignity or with chaos. That choice is always ours. The boy thinks about this. Then, I'm glad we're staying. Want to see. I want to know what happens. Pak Suryanto looks at him surprised. Why? Because I want to see. I want to know what happens. And because you're not afraid to stay, so I'm not afraid either. It's the kind of statement that fills a grandfather with pride and terror in equal measure. Pride because the boy trusts him, believes in him. Terror because what if that trust is misplaced? What if he's making the wrong choice? What if his stubborn pride, his refusal to be driven off by threats and warnings, what if it costs them everything? But he says none of this. Instead, he puts his hand on the boy's shoulder. They sit together in the gathering darkness, watching the mountain glow. Darkness falls, but the island never goes completely dark. The mountain provides its own light now, a dull orange glow from the crater, pulsing like a heartbeat. Every few minutes the glow intensifies, and the villagers who remain can see the shape of the smoke column silhouetted against the stars. It looks alive, breathing, expanding and contracting. Pak Suryanto doesn't sleep. He sits on the beach with 5 other men, the ones who refuse to leave, the old guard. They've built a small fire and boil coffee in a dented pot. No one speaks much. There's nothing left to say. They've had this conversation 100 times over the years, about why they stay, about what they'd do if the worst happened, about the time in 1927 when a smaller eruption buried 3 houses. They survived that. They've survived everything the mountain has thrown at them. Maybe that's the problem. Success breeds confidence. Confidence breeds complacency. And complacency can kill. Around midnight the tremors change. They become rhythmic, regular, like distant thunder. Boom. Pause. Boom. Pause. The men exchange looks. This is new. This is the mountain finding its rhythm, building towards something. One of the men, Pak Budi, stands up. I'm taking my family to the boat, he says quietly. We'll sleep there tonight, closer to the water. No one tries to stop him. 2 other families make the same decision. By 1 in the morning, only 4 families remain in their houses, including Pak Suryanto's. The village feels abandoned, haunted. Dogs bark nervously. The chickens have gone completely silent, huddled in their coops. Inside the house, Ibushri sits by the window, rosary beads moving through her fingers. She's not particularly religious most days, but tonight she prays. Not for the mountain to stop. That's beyond any god's interest, she thinks, but for clarity, for the wisdom to know when to run. Raka sleeps fitfully on his mat, his backpack clutched to his chest. Addy stands outside with his father, smoking, watching. At 2:30 in the morning, everything changes. The explosion is not loud, not yet, but it's definitive. A column of fire shoots from the crater, illuminating the entire island in hellish orange light. Lava begins to flow down the mountainside, glowing rivers cutting through the darkness. The beauty is terrible. Even Pak Suryanto, who has seen eruptions before, feels his breath catch. This is bigger than usual. This is serious. Wake everyone, he tells Addy. We go now. There's no panic, but there's speed. Ibushri already has the bags by the door. Raka wakes instantly, adrenaline wiping away sleep. They grab what they can, water containers, food, blankets, the precious bag of documents. Everything else stays behind. The house, the furniture, the pots and pans, the fishing nets hung to dry. All of it becomes suddenly meaningless. Things can be replaced, lives cannot. They run toward the beach. The other remaining families are doing the same, converging on their boats. Children cry. Women call out to each other, checking that everyone is accounted for. The men work the boats, pushing them into the water, starting engines that protest the sudden demand. Ash is falling heavier now, mixing with small stones, pumice, light and sharp-edged. It stings exposed skin. Pak Suryanto's boat starts on the first try. Small mercy. Adi helps his mother and Raka aboard, then pushes off and jumps in as Pak Suryanto throttles up. Behind them, the mountain roars. Not metaphorically, it actually roars, a sound like a jet engine mixed with thunder, a sound that comes from deep in the earth where rock melts and pressure builds beyond measure. They motor out into the darkness, joining 6 other boats fleeing the island. The water is rough now, chopped up by the shock waves pulsing through the earth. Spray soaks them. Raka clings to his grandmother, who holds him tight and whispers prayers that the wind steals away. 2 kilometers out, Pak Suryanto cuts the engine. Far enough to be safe from immediate danger, close enough to see what happens to their home. The other boats cluster nearby, a small flotilla of refugees. They watch in silence as the mountain performs its ancient violence. Lava flows reach the beach where they stood just minutes ago. The orange glow reflects off the water, turning the ocean into liquid fire. More explosions, bigger ones, throwing rocks the size of houses into the air. They can feel the heat from here, can smell the sulfur, can taste the ash on their tongues. Ibushri speaks, her voice barely audible over the wind and the mountain's fury. Our house? Pak Suryanto doesn't answer. He doesn't need to. They all know. The house, the nets, the boat they left behind, the chickens, the small vegetable garden Ibushri tended. All of it is gone or soon will be. 40 years of life, erased in minutes. Raka looks up at his grandfather's face, illuminated by the volcano's glow. He expects to see tears, anger, something. Instead, Pak Suryanto's face is calm, almost serene. He's watching the mountain with what looks like respect, maybe even admiration. It's beautiful, the old man says quietly. Terrible, but beautiful. And it is. It's the most beautiful, most terrible thing any of them have ever seen. They drift through the night, engines off to conserve fuel, rocking gently on the swells. The mountain continues its display for hours, explosions of light, rivers of molten rock, columns of ash that climb miles into the sky. Around 4 in the morning, the fury begins to diminish. The explosions become less frequent. The lava flows slow, cooling to black crust at their edges. The mountain is exhausting itself, spending its accumulated rage in one violent purge. As the first gray light touches the horizon, the full scope of the damage becomes visible. The island they left behind looks different. The landscape has changed. What was green is now black and gray. New rock covers old paths. The beach has extended where lava met the sea, creating fresh land that steams in the cool morning air. From this distance, Pak Suryanto cannot see his house, cannot tell if it still stands or if it's buried under meters of volcanic debris. The other boats have drifted closer during the night, seeking unconscious comfort in proximity. Pak Budi calls across the water. What do we do now? It's the question everyone is thinking. Do they try to return? Do they head to the mainland? Do they have enough fuel to reach Krakatau? Some of the boats left in such haste that their fuel tanks are only half full. Pak Suryanto checks his own gauge. 3/4 full. Enough to reach the mainland with a little to spare, but not enough to make multiple trips. He looks at his family. Ibu Sri sits with her arm around Raka, both of them wrapped in a blanket against the chill. The boy fell asleep around 3. Exhaustion overcoming fear. Adi stands at the bow, staring at the island with unreadable eyes. They are safe. They are alive. But they have lost everything else. What does safe mean when you have nothing? We wait for full light, Pak Suryanto calls back to Pak Budi. Then we go closer, see what remains. If it's too dangerous, we head to Krakatau together. The sun rises, indifferent to human catastrophe. It illuminates a world transformed. The ash cloud has spread across the sky, turning the dawn strange shades of purple and red. Ash covers the ocean's surface in a gray film. It coats their clothes, their hair, the boat. Everything tastes of sulfur and burnt earth. By 7 in the morning, the mountain has gone quiet. Steam rises from 100 places where hot rock met water, but the explosions have stopped. The lava has ceased flowing. It's over, at least for now. The mountain has said what it needed to say. Pak Suryanto starts the engine. The other boats follow his lead, forming a cautious convoy back toward the island. They move slowly, watching for submerged rocks, for places where the seafloor has risen, for any sign that the mountain might wake again. The water is murky, filled with pumice and ash. Fish float belly up, killed by the heat and chemicals. This will be a problem. Even if they can return, there will be no fishing for weeks, maybe months. The ecosystem has been disrupted. Everything must recover, including them. As they approach the beach, the devastation becomes clear. The village is gone, not damaged, gone, buried under a blanket of ash and rock 1/2 meter thick. A few roof peaks protrude from the gray landscape like the ribs of dead animals. The trees that line the beach are black skeletons. The carefully maintained paths between houses have disappeared entirely. They beach the boats and step onto land that is still warm through their sandals. No one speaks. What is there to say? They walk slowly through what was once their village, trying to orient themselves, trying to figure out where their homes stood. It's nearly impossible. All landmarks have been erased. The island has been rewritten. Pak Suryanto finds his house, or what's left of it. One wall still stands somehow. The rest has collapsed under the weight of ash and debris. He steps carefully through what was once his front door. Inside, everything is buried. He digs with his hands, moving ash aside, searching. He doesn't know what he's searching for exactly. Something. Anything. Proof that they lived here, that 40 years of life amounted to something more than this gray emptiness. His hand touches metal. He digs more urgently and pulls out a pot. Dented, blackened, but intact. Ibu Sri's favorite pot, the one her mother gave her when they married. He holds it, this one salvaged thing, and feels something break inside his chest. Not tears. He's too old, too tired for tears. But something breaks nonetheless. Raka appears beside him, small hand on his grandfather's arm. Kakek, look. The boy points. In the ash, he's found something too. A photograph, somehow not completely burned. It shows Pak Suryanto as a much younger man, holding a fish, grinning at the camera. The edges are singed, the image faded, but it's recognizable. Evidence of a past that feels impossibly distant now. They spend 2 hours searching, all the families, digging through the ruins of their lives. They find small things, a child's toy, a cooking knife, some coins, a book of prayers. These items are treasures now, weighted with significance they never had before. Everything that survived becomes precious. Around 9 in the morning, Pak Budi calls everyone together. We cannot stay here. There's no fresh water, no shelter, no food. We have to go to the mainland. Several people nod. It's obvious. It's inevitable. But still, no one moves toward the boats. Because leaving means admitting defeat. It means acknowledging that the mountain has won, that they cannot live here anymore. For men like Pak Suryanto, this admission is almost physically painful. But Ibu Sri makes the decision for all of them. We go, she says firmly. We're alive. We can rebuild, but not here. Not today. Today we need to survive. She's right. They all know it. Slowly, reluctantly, they return to their boats. The boats form a ragged line heading west toward the mainland. 8 vessels carrying 37 people. Everyone who stayed on the island last night. Everyone who watched their world end in fire and ash. They move slowly, conserving fuel, staying close enough to help if anyone's engine fails. The ocean is calmer now, almost apologetic, as if trying to make amends for the violence it witnessed. Pak Suryanto sits at the tiller, hands steady, eyes forward. But his mind is elsewhere, cycling through decades of memories. He's thinking about the first time he saw this island, a young man of 23 standing beside his father. The island was smaller then, younger, less angry. His father told him, "This place will test you every day, but if you can endure it, it will make you strong." His father was right about the testing. He's not sure anymore about the strength. Beside him, Ibu Sri holds the salvaged pot in her lap like a child. She hasn't spoken since they left the beach. Raka sits at her feet, the burnt photograph tucked carefully into his shirt pocket. Adi stands at the bow, scanning the horizon for the mainland that should appear soon. The silence between them is heavy, but not uncomfortable. They've said everything that needs saying. Now they simply exist together in this moment of transition, suspended between what was and what will be. After an hour, the coast of Java materializes through the haze, a dark line separating gray sky from gray sea. As they draw closer, they can see Karita Beach, the small port town where they sell their fish, where they buy supplies, where they've always been outsiders. The Volcano people, the crazy ones who live in the shadow of death. They'll be even more outsiders now. Now they'll be refugees, charity cases, people who lost the gamble everyone told them they would lose. The harbor is crowded. Word of the eruption has spread. People line the dock, some out of concern, some out of curiosity, some out of that strange human need to witness disaster from a safe distance. As the boats approach, someone begins to clap. Then others join. It's not celebratory applause. It's relief, acknowledgement, respect. These people survived. They made it out. The applause says, "We see you. We recognize your endurance. Welcome back to the land of the living." They tie up the boats and step onto the dock on unsteady legs. Solid ground feels strange after a night on the water. The harbor master, Pak Dwi, approaches Pak Suryanto. "We have a shelter set up at the community center. Food, water, places to sleep, everything you need." Pak Suryanto nods his thanks. Charity. They're charity cases now. The thought burns, but he swallows it. Pride is a luxury they can no longer afford. The community center is a large concrete building that usually hosts weddings and government meetings. Today it hosts catastrophe. Mattresses line the floor. Volunteers distribute rice porridge, bottled water, clean clothes. Children from the island run around, the resilience of youth already asserting itself, turning tragedy into adventure. The adults move more slowly, faces blank, still processing what they've lost. A young woman with a clipboard approaches. She's from some aid organization, kind eyes, efficient manner. "I need to register your family, names, ages, what assistance you need." She means well, but the questions feel invasive. They're being cataloged, processed, turned into statistics. Pak Suryanto answers mechanically while Ibu Sri takes Raka to get food. Later, sitting on a borrowed mattress eating borrowed food, the family has its first real conversation since the evacuation. Adi speaks first. "I can get work here, on the fishing boats. They're always looking for experienced crew." "And school?" Ibu Sri looks at Raka. "There's a school here. You can finish your education properly, not just the island school with one teacher for all grades. Raka doesn't respond. He's staring at the photograph, now laid out carefully to dry. The image of his grandfather, young and strong and smiling, holding a fish from waters that might be poisoned for years. Pak Suryanto watches this exchange, understanding what's happening. They're planning a future here, on the mainland, away from the island. They're planning to stay. And why wouldn't they? The island has nothing left to offer except danger and memories. Here, there are opportunities, safety, a chance to start over. It makes perfect sense. But sense and feeling are different countries, speaking different languages. I'm going back, Pak Suryanto says quietly. Everyone stops, stares. Papa, there's nothing there, Adi says carefully. No house, no fresh water. No, I'm going back, Pak Suryanto repeats, firmer now. Not today, not tomorrow, but when the ash settles, when the mountain calms, I'm going back. I'll rebuild. Others will too. We always have. You're 63 years old, Ibu Shri's voice breaks. How many more times can you start over? How many more eruptions can you survive? He looks at her, this woman who has stood beside him through 4 decades of hardship, who has buried a son and rebuilt a life and never once complained about the choice he made to live on that island. He owes her honesty. Maybe none. Maybe this was the last time. Maybe the next eruption will kill me. He pauses. But I don't know how to be anything except what I am. A fisherman from Krakatau Island. Take that away, and who am I? An old man taking charity, waiting to die in a concrete building in a town that isn't mine. Silence. Then Raka speaks up, his young voice clear and certain. I'll go back with you, Kakek. When I'm older, we'll rebuild together. Pak Suryanto looks at his grandson, 12 years old, his entire life ahead of him, already choosing the hard path because it's the path of dignity, of identity, of belonging to something bigger than comfort. He sees himself in the boy. He sees his father. He sees all the stubborn, foolish, magnificent men who looked at impossible odds and said, I will endure. Maybe you will. Pak Suryanto says softly, or maybe you'll be smarter than me. Maybe you'll choose a better life. A better life, Raka says, or a safer one. The question hangs in the air, unanswered. Outside, the sun breaks through the ash cloud for the first time that day. Light floods the community center, momentarily blinding. When their eyes adjust, they can see through the windows to the east, where the island sits on the horizon. Still there, still smoking, still dangerous, still home. Pak Suryanto stands and walks to the window. He places his palm against the glass, warm from the sun. Behind him, his family continues talking, planning, arguing gently about futures and choices. He listens with half an ear, but mostly he watches the island. The mountain took everything. But it couldn't take this. The knowledge of who he is, the certainty of where he belongs. In a world that changes constantly, that offers no guarantees, that can erase 40 years of life in a single night. Perhaps that's the only thing worth holding on to. He doesn't know if he'll actually go back. Maybe age and wisdom will prevail. Maybe his family will convince him. Maybe the mountain will make the decision for him with another eruption, bigger and more final. But right now, in this moment, standing in borrowed shelter eating borrowed food, he holds tight to one truth. He is Pak Suryanto, fisherman of Krakatau Island. The mountain may win in the end. Mountains usually do. But he hasn't surrendered yet.